Okay, this video is about Fire Night Castle. Fire Night Castle is probably the second hardest one to auto on level 20. The number one, of course, is Spider for most people. Golem's a little bit easier, mostly because you get Dark Aya, and she's going to be able to help you out with Ice Golem. Dragon's absolutely the easiest one to do on level 20. Most people can put together a level 20 team on Dragon, and Dragon gives you really good gear. Fire Knight, one of the gears it gives you that's really kind of nice, the two of the gears that are really nice are the Savage and the Regen, and both of those are really nice gear. Alright, but most people have trouble with it. It's a long dungeon. I mean, there's not anybody that can clear this out in 30 seconds. It's just impossible. Now, for Fire Knight, what you want to look at when you're doing this is when you're setting up a team, and of course I've already got Arbiter, but you can replace Arbiter with Scylla Drakes. It's not quite as good, but she heals everybody. She heals everybody every turn, that she's doing her A1. I mean, and she gets so she's got a chance to decrease the speeds. She's not great because she's only got that one attack. What you're looking for are people that have multiple attacks on their A1. Now I use Skull Crusher, but the reason I use Skull Crusher is because of the counter attack on it. And the counter attack can almost break him out of the shield before his turn meter goes up at all. Anybody that has a counter attack like him, Valkyrie, and Earth, several other ones, they're really good to have in the Fire Knight. Now, when you look, like Cold Heart is probably one of the best Fire Knight champs you can have. A lot of people run two Cold Hearts, and if I had two Cold Hearts, I'd be running it in Fire Knight. Alright, the reason is because that A1 has 4 times it hits. It also does 100% heal reduction. Then you've got Heartseeker that does the massive amounts of damage. And I've got Reflex on, like I told you in my other videos, because Reflex does the cooldown on your Heartseeker, because that's all you're interested in. You're only interested in the Heartseeker. So when you set this up, when you do the team setup, if you're gonna do it for the auto part, when you go into it, you're going to sit down and you're going to make sure that when you go into Cold Heart, you turn off the Art of Pain. And Art of Pain does a good bit of damage. It's good for the mobs, but it's not good for the boss himself, because the boss, you only want to hit him with that Heartseeker as much as possible, because you want to keep knocking that turn meter down, and you're wanting to do massive amounts of damage to it. Okay, the other guys is like Bogart. Bogart's a great champ to have in Fire Knight. Why? Because look at his skills. He's got 3 attacks on his A1. So he's going to hit the boss 3 times. Alright, then, so between Cold Heart and Bogart, when they have those counter attacks on them, that's 7 hits. Now, depending on the cooldown, the Malice doesn't count as a hit, so all you're going to get is one from that, and if all these are not cooled down, then she's going to do the Glaze of Justice, which is 2. So basically, and then they're going to break out him. They're going to break him out of the shield before he even gets any of his turn meter back up when you go through this. And that's what you're looking for. It doesn't have to be You don't have to have an arbiter in the thing. You can use Cilla Drake because you're going to have somebody. You're going to have a reviver because Cold Heart's going to go down. I mean, Cold Heart does not have many hit points, and she does not have much defense. And yeah, you can gear up to try to take advantage of that, but you also got to have that crit rate up to 70. You also got to have a lot of crit damage. So if you start putting defense gauntlets on her, and you start putting defense gauntlets on her, and the chest piece is defense on her because you don't care about the attack, but she has crit damage clubs on because that's what really increases her crit damage up, which increases that heart seeker ability up really high. Now the only ones that are really going to do the damage here is going to be Cold Heart and Bad L. And Bad L is going to be doing the damage because of the poison. And he has reflex gear on it, so his uh, malice comes up with the poison all the time. I've seen Cold Heart just fail. And there goes Arbiter's picking it right back up. Now there's so much poison on these things, they're almost close. A lot of these guys are close to dying. They're slow. But I've got everybody's speed up to around 200 or better. That's what you want to look at. You want to have really fast guys because they're healing more. They're attacking more. They're doing a lot. They're doing 2 attacks that these guys won, which is extremely important. See, she can't even survive. If she would go right now, since she can't survive, she just dropped dead from the poison. Now, Arbiter, she's set up really tanky. The reason I set her up really tanky is because I want her alive to increase everybody's attack, and I want her to be picking anybody up that dies. But you want her skills, and she also removes buffs too. She'll take a buff like one turn. If it's a 2-turn buff, she takes 1 turn off from it, which helps. There's been some battles where you'd have all these buffs for 1 turn on everything. She does that and she pulls it all off. Of course, you do have to have enough accuracy for that. But we're almost through the waves. This is probably the hardest part. The hardest part for Cold Heart anyway. She dies a lot during this, but it's not a big deal. She'll just get picked back up in a second. But you don't really need an Arbiter for this. She's just there to increase the attacks, and she's just there. And really, the attacks, nobody's really attacking. You're not really. The attack increase doesn't even apply to Cold Heart because it's not attack that she does. It's the crit damage, and not the attack percentage that makes a difference with her. So it would actually be better if I'd had Archmage Helmut up to 60 because he increases the crit rate and the crit damage. That would up Cold Heart's damage because it's like a 30% to the crit damage, I think, or maybe it's 20. I see he just went behind the shield, and if you notice, the counter wasn't up yet. And she also heals when she throws the increase up. Now we broke him back out, but see the turn meter's almost full. Now the counter's up. So they're just counterattacking after that. So his turn meter doesn't go up from it. So he got broke out right at the start of his turn meter. Then she knocks the turn meter all the way back down with the Heart Seeker. And now they just keep beating on him. And you'll notice he's already got 4 stacks of poison on him. And she did another Heart Seeker. Now that's because he's got the reflex on. So he's not taking a turn yet. And when he doesn't take a turn, you see all those poisons, they just keep stacking up. And that's a lot of poison. Those are the strong poisons. So, and then you had no heals, 100% heal reduction, and 100% heal reduction, that's from Cold Heart. So, these two are doing most of the damage here, but you don't have to actually have Bad L. The Bad L just speeds this up a little bit, makes sure that everybody survives a little bit easier. But of course, when you put, 6 months, you get Scylla Drakes. Scylla Drakes, every time she hits, she heals 10%. She also, you know, she'll slow things down. She's not bad. She's actually who I used before I got Arbiter. And if you look at the damage, 1.4 million for Cold Heart, 1.6 for Bad Ale, and look at everybody else. Nobody even topped 200k worth of damage. These were the damage producer, and Cold Heart will always produce the damage in here. And Bad Ale is just because of the mobs and all that poison that he did. But when you go through Fire Knight, there's other teams that I've used in it, and when you're looking at your champs, though, make sure you go through and you look like at your A1s, because that's what you're going to do mostly when you're looking at your skills. See, Blood Twin's not bad. He hits 3 times, and he's going to put a burn on it. He's actually good to have. You can substitute him out for, I would always leave my counterattacker in there, but you can substitute him out for Vogard. He's free. Just 100 days worth of playing, and make sure you buy it every day. If you're like me, you forget to buy him a lot, but he's a great champion. He's a defense champion. And that defense, and he does provoke. Where, on the mobs where, they attack him. And then when they attack him, well, he also puts that burn on. And the burn doesn't do as much damage as poison, but it's still, if you got everything burning, it's still, 5 guys, 3%, that's 15% damage to everybody every time that little burn goes off, because the burn spreads over everybody. And then before I did that, I used Seal. There are other characters you can use besides that, but you've got to look at how many turns they've got on their A1. You look, and Miscreated Monster is not all that bad. He's got 2 turns on the first one. For the mobs, he places the shield up for everybody. He got Allied Protect to keep people alive, the continuous heal. He's actually a pretty good champ to actually use in there. I used him some. I used Phaeon in there. Phaeon's got 2 attacks on her A1. She's got 2 attacks on that one. She has 3 attacks on this one. So any of her skills has got multiple hits. Where a lot of people, when you look at Vogard, he's got 3 hits on that one, but the next hit, is only got 1. So, if it's during that cooldown period where this one comes up and he uses that, well, you've only going to get 1 hit instead of 3. And that's a big difference about breaking him out of that shield, because you need that shield broken before you can do damage. And when you look at guys, just make sure, he's not good for it. 1 hit. Kale is actually not all that bad. You may have, when you first do it, he's got a 1 turn there, but he's got a 2 turn for his poison. So the 2 turns actually help. But just go through and look at all your champions and look at how many hits they get on their A1, because that's the biggest thing. But anyway, that's it, guys. Remember to subscribe, and I'll be uploading more videos about different dungeons and stuff. And that's it.